Welcome to another episode of Just Cuz, the podcast where two cousins talk about things they love.
Just cuz today is our long awaited, maybe not for you, but definitely for us, animation extravaganza.
Where we're just going to be diving deep into a couple of amazing kids shows that really breach the line of kids shows, what that really
Yeah.
means. I mean, we're going to, at least I'm going to mention a lot more that I have in mind, but two of which that we're going to dive deep into.
Yeah. There's shows that we are really passionate about, and they are I can't even pick a blanket statement to make about them, so let's
Hmm.
just get into it. The
Yeah.
first one we're going to talk about is Gravity Falls.
And for those of you who have heard of Gravity Falls, it is amazing. I think
Mhm.
this is really the show that got me into loving kid shows with incredibly deep lore and mature characters and decisions. Like
Mhm.
this is really the one that got me.
Yeah. I mean, last night I was talking to someone and I described it as a kid Twin Peaks. And I think that's exactly what it
That is
is.
exactly what I'm sure that's how it was brought to the studio as.
Yeah,
Like it
that's
was
the
sold as
elevator
that.
pitch. It's just
Yeah.
like Twin Peaks for kids.
Before I ever saw Gravity Falls, it was on top 10 lists of like greatest TV shows of all time. And I'd see Avatar The Last Airbender, which is one of the OGs, and I'd think that definitely deserves to be on a top 10 list, but Gravity Falls, I don't know. So I watched it and within like a week I had binged all of it. And I love this show. I cannot stop gushing about how good it is. But what do you think of it? For years. Exactly. I mean, could I stay up another 20 minutes? Yeah, I could. No, I remember the exact journey I had when I first watched this show. I binged it all in like a week and then I needed more, so I binged it again in a week and then I needed more, so I think I watched season 2 again. I loved this show so much and I dissected it and all of the behind the scenes stuff with all the mysteries. Like we'll get into it. I was 110% into all of that stuff. Mhm. Mhm. Exactly. Mhm. Lots of fart jokes, but there's two things that I want to talk about with the two shows that we're talking about today. And it's serialization, like over the span of seasons, and it's also the fact that they're allowed to be scary. Mhm. Mhm. No. Hmm. Yep. Yeah. Yeah. Like I'm thinking of the Hanna-Barbera cartoons where they're always wearing the same stuff, but like yeah. Hmm. Yeah. He's always got his puffy vest. Although he does change his cap from the first episode. Yeah. Hmm.
In the town of Gravity Falls, Oregon, because Oregon's where
Great
all the
name for a
weird
town.
stuff goes on. Yeah. um, and basically the town is magical. I mean, that's the baseline.
Yeah. How is it
It's
magical? You'll figure it out.
well, it's not. It's never really said how it's magical, but things are magical
There
in
is
it.
one episode where they say, maybe it's this. Maybe it's not, though.
Yeah, exactly. They're
I
like,
mean, I guess we're getting into all spoilers. Maybe it's aliens. Maybe it's not. We don't
yeah.
know.
Well, okay, when they said that it was because of aliens, I was like, because, okay, so there's this cliffside in one of the episodes in season
Hmm.
2 where they're like, oh, a space, like a flying saucer used to be there, and the cliff is like a cutout of the
Yeah.
flying saucer that left. And I'm like, it might be aliens, but in my head, I was also like, or aliens landed there because it was the weirdest
Yeah,
place in the
exactly. The
world.
weirdness brought the aliens. It could be
Yeah,
anything. And it's
it could be
never really
anything.
dived into, and I'm glad they don't get into it
Yeah,
too
it's
specifically.
basically, it allows them to basically deal with like any supernatural concept you could possibly imagine, and it's great and hilarious. And we'll go into the characters and stuff in a
Yeah.
minute, but um yeah, Dipper and Mabel they're the mystery twins. They're very different. Dipper is very obsessed with solving the mysteries of the town and figuring out what his mysterious journal that he finds on his first day.
Who
Um,
is the author?
who is the author of this mysterious journal? And uh, Mabel, she loves
So,
pigs and sweaters, and she's awesome. She's literally the best ever.
the way that I see it, Mabel is fun, whereas Dipper drives the plot.
Yeah. But Mabel drives a lot of the plots because a lot of the plots, not that she's like only fun, it's just, I don't even know. A lot of the plots are centered around her.
Yes.
Um,
In fact, she is the catalyst for a lot of the stuff that
a lot,
happens.
especially at the end.
Yes. I mean,
Yeah.
I'm mainly Dipper and Mabel versus the future, which is, oh
Yeah.
my god.
What a great episode.
This entire show, I mean, the great mystery that grips you right from the beginning. Like, what's the origin of this mystery in the town? What's the origin of the journal? Everything. This series knows what it's doing where it comes to mystery and twists and reveals. It's high class stuff. But I think the greatest thing that Gravity Falls does is fantastic, silly jokes. And
Hmm.
I'm thinking, I remember being grabbed by this show from the mystery right from the get go. But what really grabbed me was the humor in the second episode. I think there's a moment
Hmm.
where Seuss talks about how he's a side character.
Yeah. And he's like, oh my God, am I a side character? Whoops.
I just smacked your mic.
I just like hit my microphone. I was so excited that you mentioned Seuss. I love Seuss.
Seuss might be the only character who is just through and through a good person. Every other person in this show has a lazy or selfish or just self-serving side, which isn't a bad
Yeah.
thing. It's a very
I
good
thought
character choice.
I thought it was great because you treat them like actual people. People are lazy and self-serving.
Yeah,
And
exactly. It's
they don't
wonderful.
they don't feel like cardboard cutouts. The person that I was most worried about feeling two-dimensional was Mabel herself
Hmm.
because she's the quirky one. She's the silly girl who at first is obsessed with boys and summer romance.
As in the
And
pilot, yeah, she's just introduced trying to hit on guys, and that's like
yeah,
all her character is.
okay, I wrote very few notes while I was watching. You know me, I don't take down many notes. I just sort of ramble. But the first note that I have is episodes 1 and 4, which the first episode where
Hmm.
Mabel she gets a boyfriend, but he's actually a bunch of
Oh,
gnomes in a trench coat.
is this freaking you out? Is this too weird?
Yes, absolutely.
Or please be a
Um
vampire. Please be a vampire.
yeah, he's like they go into the forest and he's like I have something to tell you, Mabel. And it was 2013, so obviously.
Yeah. And we didn't mention any of the cast, but it's Kristen Schaal as Mabel. So it's Louise from Bob's Burgers. Perfect voice.
Yeah, no, she's absolutely excellent. Um, but episodes 1 and episode 4, which introduces
Oh,
Gideon,
Lil
little
Gideon.
Gideon. Why don't you explain who little Gideon is? Because I'll
So
get too mad.
Lil Gideon is this performer who's rivals with Grunkle Stan, and they're pretty much both grifters who try to steal
Right.
other people's money.
Yeah, we never said Grunkle Stan owns something called the Mystery Shack, where he scams people out of money by making them think the town is spooky. But he actually, in the first season, does not believe that the town is
Heavy
spooky.
quotation
Heavy
marks.
quotation marks. Grunkle Stan. I can't say uncle. I have to call him Grunkle Stan.
Yeah, because he is
Grunkle
the Grunkle.
Stan. Yeah. I'm at the end when like the last episode, it was very, very emotional centering around Grunkle Stan. And I was literally crying. And the fact that they were just going, Grunkle Stan the whole time, I was like, how am I crying? This is so stupid.
And we're getting ahead of ourselves, but like there's a episode in the middle of season 2 where they're like, maybe he's not our Grunkle, and they're trying to be
Yeah.
serious about it, but they're
Wait, no,
saying
no. I have
Grunkle.
so much. I have so
Oh
much
yeah,
to say
yeah.
about
The
that when we
the
get
episode
there.
is not what he seems. We will talk about it.
Yeah, absolutely. But so Lil Gideon is like a competing
Mm.
psychic psychopath.
And how old is he?
6. I don't know. Like
He
he's
has
like
parents, but
he's like an actual baby and he's the weirdest character ever. Like
his hair is about the size as his head.
no, it's about the size of his whole body. Like if you took off his hair and put it next to his whole body, he's like I don't even know how to describe it. Obviously cartoon proportions, but
Yeah.
just like very unsettling to look at.
And he is the very clear villain of this show until they introduce a bigger villain. I think at the end of season 1, but he's the main antagonist.
The villain of the show is the guy on the dollar bill.
Yes.
On the back of the dollar bill. We'll get
Bill
to
Cipher.
it.
Fucking love him.
But basically, episode 4 introduces Lil Gideon, and he quickly becomes obsessed with Mabel, trying to force her to date him. Just as in episode 1, the gnomes were trying to force Mabel to marry all 120 of them or something and become the queen of the gnomes. And so the note that I wrote down was episodes 1 and 4 center around Mabel losing her agency to men who only value her for her sexual capital.
And they're both, gonna kidnap Mabel. It is a bit weird.
I think I wrote that at 1 a.m. I was like, wow, this is strange for a kid show to deal with. They're all trying to kidnap Mabel and force her to be their wife or something. I don't know.
I mean, Gideon stays on that plot line, but they loosen
Yeah.
that up quite a bit
Yeah.
once they focus on like the inherent mystery in the show, which I'm very glad.
Mm-hmm.
And Mabel does still get a lot of, I say in quotation marks, boyfriends over the show, and all of them are crazier than the last.
I wouldn't say boyfriends, but yeah. Love interests. My favorite is Mermando, obviously.
He's actually a good person. When Mermando sends Mabel the letter, and she's just like, and he's
Yeah.
marrying the queen of the manatees, and she's beautiful.
Yeah, and she's
That got me.
it's just a manatee in the dress. And I love Mabel so much because even though she's jealous that the guy that she likes is getting married in an arranged marriage, which he is miserable about,
Yeah.
by the way, and she never cares that he's miserable about that. She's like, oh no, what about me? But she's still like, and she's beautiful, even though it's just a manatee in a dress. I love
Yeah, Mabel's
Mabel.
great.
She's
Mabel's
excellent.
innocent and perfect.
Mm-hmm. It felt like early on, the show was really trying to distinguish itself from other kid shows. Like the episode where they go fishing, and the episode about Old Man McGucket.
Yes.
That's the first episode with Old Man McGucket, I think. And I can't even say his fucking name. But it was, I don't know. That's the episode. That's where I dropped off the first time I tried to watch it, because when you asked me to watch it years ago, I did try. I watched the first 2 episodes and then I got bored. And
I think
didn't
I
watch
remember
anymore.
being so confident that you were just gonna binge it like me.
Yeah. But I don't know what it was. It was probably that I just wasn't in a place to watch the cartoon like that, because I was just like, I was probably, you know what I was probably doing? I probably wanted to watch Charmed. I don't know why, but I love Charmed. And I was like, I'd rather watch Charmed if I'm going to deal with supernatural shit, like an old supernatural show. But yeah, that's where I fell off at first. But then, like, following those episodes, it gets very good. And that's the little Gideon episode, and then there's episode 6. I wrote, I think it was the same night that I watched episode 4, honestly. I wrote episode 6, disrupting the culture of hegemonic masculinity, sort of.
So is that the one with the man bears?
Yeah,
Yeah.
that's the one with the man bears, and the one where Dipper is obsessed with growing his first chest hair because he thinks that will make him a man. And
they
that
have
will
legally
help.
distinct ABBA.
Yeah, oh my god, that was so funny. They were, and Dipper was like, I'm not a man because I like ABBA, but it wasn't ABBA, it was like,
It was BABA.
you like Swedish pop country, pop rock, indie band, ABBA, what is it?
I think it was BABA.
Baba? Oh my god.
Yeah.
It was so funny. And it was like to the tune of Dancing Queen, but he was like, it was singing all different lyrics. It was so funny.
It was perfect. And there are a whole lot of episodes with Gravity Falls, and we talked about serialization earlier, where Gravity Falls still has a somewhat status quo that it returns to every once in a while. But Gravity Falls also has these wonderful episodes every once in a while that shakes everything up. And I'm thinking mainly of season 2. But
yeah, because I think season 1 is definitely more episodic. You know, they have the self-contained plots in each episode, and they go to the next one. The characters do change, and they reference stuff from the past, but
sometimes they
it's not
rescue
very-
a 12-and-a-half president from Amber.
yeah.
Sometimes that happens.
Sometimes it happens, you know? But it's not very serialized until you get to season 2. And season 2, oh boy. Before we get into season 2, there are 2 other things I wanted to mention really quickly. I love the corrupt cop husbands. They're hilarious. like what? At
And
first, I just wrote corrupt cops a cab, but then
they're
then
dumb,
as
but they're
it went
also
on,
in love with each
they're
other.
they're like literally in love, and they're so funny. So then I went back and I wrote husbands next to corrupt cop. Um,
I mean, they're
they're
still
great.
corrupt, but
They're super corrupt. They're terrible cops, as are
they're
most
cute.
cops. But they're when they're taken out of that context, like in the last episode, they're
Yeah.
excellent.
So
Um,
I don't know if you
and
knew
then
this, but
oh
right from the get-go, those two cops were supposed to be in a relationship, and they
oh
couldn't
yeah.
really make that explicit because,
hmm
it's Disney and Disney
Disney
sucks.
XD 2013. Even now, Disney XD wouldn't do it.
Yeah.
I absolutely knew that, and if I don't know if you know, I'm sorry. I'm an expert at queering media. Okay, reading into media, um, and in a queer way, I absolutely knew that they were together the first time I saw them
But
on
yeah,
screen.
the
I was like,
creators
they're in love.
clearly. But yeah, the
hmm
creators fought tooth and nail to get them to either kiss or express their love for each other, and they got one of those. And
They
I'm
got to
glad,
say it in the last episode.
yeah,
They didn't get to kiss though.
we don't have to read so much subtlety for the show we're going to be talking about after this because they
Right,
get it right
right,
there.
right.
But Gravity
um,
Falls.
Yeah. Also just the other thing, I'm so happy because personally I finally know the context of the I'm Stan and I was wrong song.
Yeah.
Um, because I've been hearing that around the internet for like 5 years.
I had no idea that was bouncing around the internet.
There's a trend. Yeah, there's a trend. I think it's like exclusively queer women, and it's so funny. It's you play the Stan is Wrong song, and it's for it's for people that identified as bisexual and then later come out as gay or lesbian
Oh,
or something else, or people who identified as gender fluid who later come out as trans. They go, I'm Stan and I was wrong, and then they take down the flag on their wall and then they put a different flag back up. It's so funny. I've seen the exact same format of TikTok 10,000 times, and I will watch it every time it pops
oh
on
my
my feed.
goodness. I had no idea about that. I'm so glad Gravity Falls is still in pop culture.
Yeah.
I will love it forever.
Also, the Stan and I Was Wrong song is like at the end, which during the end credits, which Gravity Falls always has something happening during the
Yep.
end credits
Love
to
it.
get people to watch it. And it's so funny. There's so many funny things that are iconic from the show that happen during the
Mhm.
credits.
It reminds me of the community credits where like yeah, some of the
Yeah,
funniest
Troy and
jokes are
Abed in the
there.
morning.
So, should we talk about the season 1 finale and I guess some of the season 1 mysteries before we get to season 2?
Yes,
Because
let's
like
do
there's
it.
the first end there's the first episode cliffhanger where Stan goes into his basement.
Right. All season, Stan. Okay, so the Mystery Shack is like this A-frame, like 2 bedroom house, right? Very
Mhm.
small. But then at the end of the first episode, Stan opens up a vending machine and goes into the back of it and goes down into a mysterious room, which we later find out is a basement. And that I was like, I from the beginning. I mean, I'm not a child. I'm not a
Mhm.
child watching this, and I obviously know some things because the show has been out since 2013. But I was like, there's no way Stan doesn't believe in the
Yeah, he
supernatural.
knows. I There's some things that I had guessed, the fact that he had one of the journals and
Yeah,
he also gets one of his journals from Gideon.
I definitely thought that he had number one.
But
Um.
there's
Oh
also
yeah,
one
there's
theory.
3 journals,
Mhm.
and
And
they all
Dipper
have
has the
uh,
third.
Dipper has number 3, and they all have a handprint with 6 fingers on.
So yeah, the author has 6 fingers, but there's
Yeah.
one theory that I wasn't confident in, but I felt pretty good about as I was watching the show, and I thought that McGucket was the author. I was pretty sure.
I definitely there were definitely times when I thought that, but when does the McGucket episode happen? It
I
doesn't
think that's
happen
second.
immediately. That's in
The
the
se-
second season.
oh yeah, The one with McGucket's Memories, that second season.
Yeah.
And that's a really good episode.
It's a great episode, and I think they established that exact theory.
Hmm. Yeah, I think they even say, like, go as far as to say that, like, fans, you probably guessed it. It's not the
Yeah,
case.
they do that a lot on this show. They're like, we've been theorizing for what feels like 2 years. And like have really meta jokes in there, which is excellent.
Yeah.
And they mostly come from Seuss, which is
Yeah.
awesome.
Or there is one joke that had me crying the first time I saw it, and that's when they're talking about some other show and Stan comes in and he's just like, "I'll have you know that this show has a lot of adult themes."
Yeah, that
Yeah,
was really fun. I
fantastic
think
meta jokes.
wasn't that it was their dog version of Sherlock or something.
Yeah, it was Duck.
No,
Duck.
yeah, Duck Detective. That was hilarious.
We're getting ahead of ourselves, but I think in the Duck Detective show they had the evil twin twist, and then Seuss was like, "Ah, I guessed it."
Yeah. It was like, yeah, I know exactly, another meta one, and it was so funny. And then
But
yeah.
But yeah, season 1, it all builds to this fantastic finale where they reveal Bill Cipher. And Bill Cipher is all over this show. If you're looking for him, you can see a triangle in almost every scene, just in the
Everywhere.
background.
And
like,
he's
not just a triangle with an eye.
with an
Yeah,
eye in it.
it's awesome.
And obviously he is in at the end of the credits, at the end of the title sequence.
For a split
always.
second.
Yeah.
Oh, love that.
And from
And
the beginning,
the
because
backward
you always
voice.
Yeah. No,
Oh.
it's scary. Like, you always told me that I always knew there was Bill Cipher and he was a triangle because I've been on the internet. And as soon as I watched the theme song for the first time and I saw him at the end, I was like, ooh, okay.
Okay.
Okay. Hi, Bill.
And yeah, he is. It's amazing to me that Bill Cipher, Grunkle Stan, and Seuss are all voiced by the same person, and that's Alex Hirsch, the creator of this show.
Whoa. Whoa. I didn't even know that. That just blew my mind. I always knew that whoever voiced Bill Cipher definitely voiced someone else because I could tell that the voice was kind of similar to someone else, but I had no idea it was Grunkle Stan and Seuss. Oh my god.
Oh, yeah, and it's the creator of the show too, Alex Hirsch. Great fan.
That's
He's also the
sick.
voice of King.
Yeah, I knew that. I know that Alex. Okay. We'll get to that.
We'll get to all of it, but yeah. Bill Cipher, back to him, because I love all-powerful antagonists. And he's not all-powerful, but at first he's introduced and he can do anything.
He's very close to all powerful. I was even thinking that in the season 2 finale. I was like, this guy, like, how are you gonna beat him?
But he, again, and how they beat him is he can only exist in the mindscape, in the mind of someone else.
Oh my god, yeah. So that's introduced at the end of the first season. And that was
brilliant. I couldn't have come up with a better solution myself than to how they defeat him.
Hold on.
Ourselves.
Yeah, no, I don't want to talk about that yet, because first I want to talk about, the end of season 1, it is revealed that Grunkle Stan does indeed believe in the supernatural and has the first journal and is building some sort of crazy machine.
He's collected all
in the
three.
Basement.
Yeah, he's got like multiple layers of the basement. He's got a high-tech machine that he's powering up, and then the season ends.
Yeah, by the end he has all 3. He has taken Dipper's journal and Lil Gideon's journal. So he has all 3 journals. And you're like, oh my god, I genuinely can't tell if he is the author of these journals or if he is trying to do something evil with these journals.
I don't think I ever thought that he was the author, simply because he seemed to be too, I don't know if incompetent is the right word, because he seemed secretly competent. It seemed like he was one step behind, no matter what he did.
Well, the thing, I thought that I thought just for those few episodes that he might be the author only because once he got the journal, it was like a switch flipped
Hmm.
and he was very competent
And he was like, here we
downstairs in
go.
that basement. Yeah.
Yeah.
And I was like, "Oh, he's been putting on an act this whole time. Oh my
Hmm.
god."
And I think
Uh
guessing that he's the author is closer than I ever got to guessing who the author was.
yeah. Well, when you okay. Okay. Let's talk about the author because
Yes.
when I wrote down the only note I have for that was, "Oh shit, I wasn't expecting that." Parentheses Stan.
Yeah. Stan and Stan.
Yeah. So, the actual author is Stan's secret twin brother, Stan. They're
We'll
both named
say,
Stan.
yeah, I think it's
There's
Stan and
Stan.
Stanley.
So there's Stanford and there's Stanley. Now, the one that Dipper and Mabel have been living with Stanford Pines this whole
Hmm.
time. However, it is revealed in season 2, episode 11, not what he seems,
Hmm.
that Grunkle Stan is not Stanford Pines.
Yeah.
Grunkle Stan is Stanley Pines, and he faked his own death and took on his brother's identity
And he's
after,
been living in his brother's house this whole
yeah,
time.
in his brother's house. And after his brother, uh, accidentally got abducted into a pocket dimension or a different dimension
Some sort of
by,
dimension.
I don't know, his brother's super smart and basically they make them as extreme mirrors to Dipper and Mabel.
Hmm. Yes. And he's voiced by
They're,
J.K. Simmons. And
yeah,
let me
that
tell you,
one I
Sasha,
knew.
I did not come close to guessing this in any shape or form. When Stanford steps out of the portal and he grabs the journal and he shows the six fingers, for some stupid reason in my head, I was like, oh my god, it's Dipper from the future.
I thought that too. Oh my god. No, you know who I thought was Dipper from the future because the voice was very similar? I thought it
Who?
was the time traveling guy. The
Oh,
really incompetent time
Blyndon
traveler.
Blandon?
Yeah, I didn't think it the whole time. Just the first episode that he was in, I was like, "Oh my god, is this Dipper from the future?" The voice is like really similar.
Small side point on Dipper that doesn't matter, but I thought that his birthmark was going to come into play. You know,
Yeah,
the Big
the
Dipper.
reason he's called Dipper.
Yeah, well, yeah. Do you know his real name?
No.
Because I had to
What is
Google it too. It's Mason, Mabel and Mason.
Mabel and Mason. Oh my god, that makes sense. You name
Hmm.
twins similar things.
Yep.
Um,
But yeah.
okay. Well, actually, I was gonna say okay, so the reason that I wasn't as shocked about, like, I was definitely shocked that
Hmm.
Stan wasn't who he said he was, but I wasn't as shocked about the fact that he had a twin because, okay, well, I'm gonna start out this by saying, which of Dipper and Mabel, which of the Pines twins do you think is trans? Because one of them definitely is, because they're identical twins.
Yeah, they are the same person. And I mean, it's oh god. I honestly
Personally,
don't
I think it's
know.
Dipper. I
I
think it's
was
Dipper.
I was gonna say Dipper, but also I didn't want to. I don't know. I didn't want to be incorrect in a guess.
It's a guess. Who cares? It's not. It's. This is purely fan conjecture.
That is
It
true.
is.
Yeah.
None of it's ever gonna be real. But like, I'm like, they're identical twins.
Mhm.
First of all, if anybody out there doesn't know, the way that you get identical twins. So fraternal twins are genetic and they run in a family. This is also something I think that cartoons get this confused a lot
Mhm.
because fraternal twins run in families. It's a gene that causes the person carrying the child, the pregnant person, to release multiple eggs instead of just one egg, right? That's a gene. So there are two different babies in one uterus. But the way that identical twins work is that it's one egg that splits into two like a weird little mutant. And it is not genetic. It does not run in families. I mean, it might be genetic, but it doesn't run in families. It's not. I looked it up for this very purpose because I was like, I knew it, but I was also like, I want to be sure when I say this. It doesn't run in families. There have been many studies. Identical twins. I'm sorry, I love you, and if I know any of you, but you're freaks of nature.
Yeah, you're mutants.
You're mutants.
I mean, we love
That's
mutants
cool,
here,
though.
but
We
you
love
are.
mutants. Yeah. But they're and so because they are one egg split into two, they're literally the same person twice. They cannot be different biological genders. They are the same biological gender.
Right.
Or biological sex. But
So I knew none of that.
yeah,
I hadn't even thought about it.
yeah. Well, the fact that because like I understand what the creators, lots of creators do this a lot. They're like, if you have identical twins, you have former identical twins in the same family. Like in the first example I can think of is in Harry Potter. Fred and George are identical twins, and there's somewhere said that Molly used to have twin brothers who were identical twins who died in the war. But their names were Gideon and Fabian, I think. Wait, no. I might be wrong about that, but I know that
you know more about Harry Potter than me.
Yeah, I know a lot. But basically that is incorrect because it would be a great coincidence, but the fact, like, it's proven to not run in families, identical twins. So I understand what the creators were going for with Stan and Ford being identical twins, and then Dipper and Mabel being fraternal twins. That doesn't make sense. So they have to be identical twins. If you're going for that identical twins run in the family, then they have to be identical twins.
If it has to be hereditary. And I mean, it...
And in this supernatural world of Gravity Falls, maybe it does run in the family.
Yeah, maybe. But I mean, it's also for the very on-the-nose metaphor between the two twins.
Oh, absolutely. I mean, and I'm not discounting the story reasons. That's the, like, the story reasons are the only reason that exists. I'm absolutely certain of it. But I just wanted on record that one of the Pine twins is trans, and I'm pretty sure it's Dipper.
I mean, out of the two, it would be Dipper.
But slay, go Dipper. Honestly, the thing that really got it for me was the episode exploring his masculinity, episode 6 of season 1, because I was like, this is really interesting.
And this is going past season 1, and I think we've thoroughly talked about season 1, but there's an episode in season 2, I think it's episode 2, Into the Bunker, where Dipper fully has to come to terms with his crush on Wendy that we haven't really talked about, but he's had a crush on
there's a character named Wendy.
And she's voiced by I'm blanking on her name, but Lila from Guardians of the Galaxy 3.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Oh my god. Wait, I love her. What is her name?
She's Velma in the live action
Judy,
Scooby-Doo.
Yeah, she's also Hawkeye's wife. Judy and she's in that awesome show with that other lady where they're murderers. I forget, but it's a really good show. That's her name in the show. I don't know her name.
Linda
Cardellini. Yes. Yeah, she played Judy in a Netflix show. That's really good. I forgot.
She's really good in this show. We probably won't mention her again. She's awesome though. But Dipper has a crush on her the entire show, and he finally says something about it, and they handle it so maturely.
They do a really good job. To be clear, Dipper is 13. He is very small. And Wendy is 16, 17?
Yeah, something around there.
She's a full teenager, so she is drawn like an adult. And Dipper is drawn like a child. So they really clarify from the beginning, even though Dipper has a crush on her, this is not going to happen.
Yeah. Dipper does not have a chance. And Wendy pretty much outright says that. She's like, you're a really good friend, but it's not happening, bro.
Yeah. There's they handle it really well in multiple episodes. There's one episode where it was really funny where Dipper and Mabel go back in time and
Yes.
they run into Wendy as like a toddler or like 6 years old, and Dipper is 13 and Wendy is 6, and Wendy is like, "Oh, I have a crush on you," or Wendy's friend is like, "Oh, my friend has a crush on you," and Dipper was like, "Oh, that's uncomfortable," and then Mabel's like, "Now how do you think Wendy feels all the time?"
It's like in that moment, Dipper's eyes go super wide and he's like, oh,
Yeah.
oh, oh.
After that, he makes no more passes at Wendy or any
Yeah.
more tries to like get her to be his girlfriend, which is
Yeah.
really good. I was like,
Just
hey,
mature.
he took the fucking hint. This is what we
Yeah.
have to teach little boys. This is good.
Like, it's okay to have a crush, but if they say no, just stop it.
Yeah. Stop it.
Find someone else.
Respect them.
But there's a whole bunch of mature choices in this show. I think I'm thinking specifically of Seuss, but a bunch of side characters get a lot of shine in a specific episode.
Yeah. It's a very realized world. Go ahead, talk about the one you're talking about.
But yeah, Seuss, he has a whole dynamic where he never saw his dad, and then they have a time travel episode in the second season where
Yeah,
there's like
that's the
this
one that I was talking
duel.
about.
But yeah, and the basically the episode ends with Seuss realizing that he never really needed his dad because he found a father figure in Grunkle Stan.
In
that he
Grunkle
has-
Stan, and he found a family with it was basically like, why should I care so much about this guy who doesn't care about me at all, who never came to any of my birthdays, who never made any attempt to see me my whole life, when I have two friends here who will literally travel through time and give up a time wish, the best thing you could ever have for me. And I was like, wow.
And he
You're really
asked
cool,
for
Zeus.
a slice
I'm
of
not
pizza with
crying.
his time wish. Yeah, I remember crying during
Well,
that scene.
He asked for Dipper and Mabel to be cleaned up because they were all
Yeah.
scuffled up and hurt. And he wished for a piece of never is an infinite pizza. You take
Yeah.
a bite and
He-
that
it
pizza
was-
regenerates.
It was a slice of pizza, and then they're just like, are you kidding me? You just got a slice of pizza with that? And he's like, it's infinite pizza.
Yeah.
And they're like,
they're
okay,
oh,
okay,
that's a
that's
good wish.
Yeah. I can't think of too much else to say other than, there's some scary monsters. Like there's a shapeshifter in season 2 that is genuinely allowed to be
Yo,
scary.
that shapeshifter, that
Voiced by Mark
got me.
Hamill.
It was terrifying. I did not know that. That's amazing. I love Mark Hamill. He's really good at being scary.
Yes.
And but it really got me when it was pretending to be Wendy. Like the
Yo.
other times I was like, I think that's the shapeshifter. But when it was Wendy, I was like, oh my god.
Or like when its eyes blinked the wrong way and it would move, it would scuttle along the wall and its head would be trailing behind.
It
Perfect.
was freaky, man. I loved that.
And there are some other scary monsters, but that's the one that
Yeah.
really made me remember this show.
Yeah.
But other
Let's
than that, I can't think of
Let's
much
quickly
else
talk
to
about
say.
the end of the show, and then we'll move on to our next topic.
Yes.
But
Because the finale, Weird Maganon of Gravity Falls,
Weird
is
Mageddon
so
parts
spectacular.
1, 2, and 3, so good. They really take it seriously. They changed the theme song, so because Bill Cipher takes over the world basically, and
He gets a physical form, and
Yeah.
he just he runs Gravity Falls now.
and it is a full-on apocalypse territory. It's great. There's one episode centered around Mabel because he kidnaps Mabel, and I wrote down in my notes, I love that it all comes down to Mabel. I don't know what, but she was like the catalyst for Bill like getting to our physical plane, but also in stopping him, and that was really interesting to me.
Right.
Especially because so much focus was around Dipper and around the mysteries. Dipper was very involved in it, and Mabel was still involved with the supernatural, but she wasn't as involved with the mystery element
And I think-
of the town.
I think as soon as the finale starts, Dipper tries to face on Bill and just gets defeated, and immediately he's like,
Yeah.
okay, no, I need Mabel. We need to
Yeah.
do this together.
Yeah. and
And
it's
that's
great.
perfect.
Sibling power.
Mm.
And so in the last episode, basically, we touched on it a bit earlier, but the way that they defeat Bill Cipher is absolutely heart-wrenching. Bill Cipher is trying to get into the mind of Ford,
Mm.
Grunkle Ford, because he has an equation inside his mind that will let Bill Cipher out of Gravity Falls and destroy the world.
Mm.
And Grunkle Ford is like, I can't let him inside my mind because then he'll be able to,
Mm.
he'll win.
And for Bill Cipher to get inside a mind, the person has to willingly let him in.
Yeah, they
Like,
have to willingly let him in.
mm.
And so obviously, Bill Cipher terrorizes the kids until Ford
I
and
think
Stan.
he talks about turning the kids into like fourth dimensional skin sacks or something like that.
I don't know. Yeah, some real creepy stuff.
Like Bill Cipher's mainly a prankster in this show, but he has some moments where he's truly horrific. Like when he
Truly
turns
evil.
Pacifica's dad all the holes in his face and just rearranges them. Holy
Yeah,
crap, that was
that
awesome.
was terrifying. I loved it.
And he just starts screaming.
Basically, so Stan and Ford switch places when Bill isn't looking, and they
Mhm.
switch clothes. And Stan lets Bill into his mind. Bill thinking that it's Ford's mind, and um, Bill gets trapped inside of Stan's mind while Ford erases his memory with the memory eraser gun that old man McGruckle. What is it
McGucket.
again? McGucket, damn it. I tried. Old man McGucket made. And it is a genuinely tragic scene. It was
I
very
bawled my eyes
sad.
out.
I was crying a lot. And I texted you, and I'm like, not me crying watching Gravity Falls. What the heck?
And I knew it, without you mentioning what you were watching, I knew exactly which part you were watching.
Oh, absolutely. And
But
it was the worst part is not him getting his memories erased. The worst part
mm,
was sitting at the end, knowing that this is the end, this is the last episode of the series, this is the end of the episode. I could see by the
yep.
timestamp. I was like, this is the end of the episode. And he wakes up and the kids go up to him and go, "Hi, Grunkle Stan." And he's like, "Who are you?" And it
He's
was
just like, "Hey,
so
kiddo."
sad. Yeah.
Oh, I
And
mean,
Mabel
they
was
go
like
back on it,
bawling.
which I
Yeah.
wish they didn't, but it still broke me. Just
Yeah.
and that image of after Stan punches Bill out and Bill's just like begging for his life and he
Yeah.
grabs a picture of his family and he's just like, "Nah, I guess I wasn't or I was good for something after all." I'm
Oh,
just like,
gosh.
"Fuck."
I know. Honestly, I don't mind that they went back on it purely because I cannot believe that they were able to get me. I'm usually able to see
Yeah.
things coming in kids shows, and I was like, "No, I'm crying."
I mean, I say I wish they didn't go back on it because it's like a narrative through line that I wish they stuck with. But I'm still happy we got the happy ending.
And I'm
I'm
happy with
glad
the
we saw that.
outcome. Yeah, that like Seuss got to take over the Mystery Shack and Stan and Ford went and like rekindled their bond as brothers and got to
And they got to go
remake
sail.
the Stano War ship.
Oh,
Yeah, it was great.
is there too much else to say about Gravity Falls?
I don't think so. I think we got to move on because
Yeah,
we
we've
got
been talking
time
too much
anyway.
about Gravity Falls. Let's move on to the show that ran because Gravity Falls walked.
Yeah, the
The
show that made me want to do this episode, the show that when we were together a
Mhm.
few months ago, or not a few months ago, last
You're
month,
like a month.
like 3 weeks ago.
Time is relative.
Yeah. But when we were together, you were like, watch this show, and I was like, fine, I'll watch it on the airplane.
I
I
basically
downloaded.
sat you down and I was like, "Sasha, this is made for you. Go
Yeah.
watch it."
Yep, absolutely. You hadn't finished the show at that point.
Mhm.
And you were like, I don't know how it ends, but you need to watch it. So I downloaded the first 4 episodes to watch in the airplane, and I got done with those, and I was like, I should have downloaded more episodes. This is so good. We are talking The Owl House.
which wrapped up very recently, like last
Very
year.
recently, last year. And it wrapped up because new then and now former Disney CEO, I forgot his name, but he replaced Bob Iger, and then he was
Hmm.
replaced again by Bob Iger because he sucked. He canceled Gravity Falls because he said it doesn't fit the Disney brand.
Or
And
the
you know
Owl
what?
House.
Yeah, what did I say?
The Gravity Falls. Doesn't
I
matter. Everyone knows what you were talking
I
about.
meant the Owl House. I'm so sorry. He canceled the Owl House because it doesn't fit the Disney brand, and that is because it's gay, it's queer,
Yeah,
it's a
there's a
queer
gay
show, and
relationship in it.
he's a homophobe. Die.
See, I knew none
There's
of that. I assumed season 3 was kind of condensed because of COVID and animation cutbacks, but
no.
knowing knowing that information now that it was a CEO canceling it, wow, that
Yeah.
really sucks.
No, they had the
'Cause
whole third season planned.
oh,
And they like condensed it. Well, they didn't have the whole third season planned. They had, so how, I was gonna say Gravity Falls again. How Owl House, happened was the show premiered, and I think either before it premiered or just after the first episode, after the pilot aired, but very quickly, it was renewed for a second season.
mhm,
So going into everything that happened in the first season, they already knew they were safe. They were getting a second season.
right.
So that allowed them to go balls to the walls gay, and it was great. And they were like, this is a kid's show for Disney, but we are going to do our
Yeah.
damnedest. And boy, did
We're
they.
gonna do this right.
We're going to do it right. Um,
So
and
I guess I should ask. I brought it to your attention that this show was gay. Did you guess the ship? Because I certainly didn't.
did I guess the ship? Of course I did. Who else did I think was going to be?
I
It's a
thought
classic enemies to lovers ship. What
so
did you
here's what
think?
I thought was gonna happen. My journey with this show is I binged all of Gravity Falls a billion times and I needed more and I heard the Owl House was similar. And I
Mm-hmm.
binged the Owl House like the first season, and I thought for sure that Willow and Luz were gonna end up together until
Oh.
Amity got a little bit more character development. Like episode
Mm-hmm.
5, I was like, oh no, it's Amity.
Yeah.
It's awesome.
So go ahead and explain the show real quick, and then I'll say
Yeah,
what I
okay.
thought.
So yeah, it's similar to Gravity Falls in that, well, it's not similar at all, but it's a kids show animated, similar team behind it, but it's about this girl named Luz who doesn't really fit in with anybody. She finds this portal to another world and she decides to just step on through because her life, it isn't great. Why not step through a portal? And she
Well,
ends
at
up,
first she steps through because she's chasing someone.
oh, right,
Somebody
right.
because some weird looking lady comes and steals her book and she chases her through a portal.
But she ends up staying, and
Yeah.
she ends up in the Boiling Isles, which is this magical town,
It's a
all
magical
made
realm,
up.
I think.
Yeah, but it's all made up within the skeleton of this giant beast that we will get
Yeah.
into.
It's like
And
a it's so cool. It's like a world, but instead of land, they just have the remains of a giant titan, of a
yeah,
dead titan. And I'm like, that's sick.
that's freaking awesome. And she ends up staying in a house that is somewhat alive. I think it's just the door that's alive. Love Hootie, that's the name of the door. But
Hootie the owl in the owl house.
she lives with Ida, the owl lady, and King, and they have a lot of adventures. She makes a lot of friends, Willow and Gus and Hunter and Amity. She
I
becomes
love that you included
oh.
Hunter as one of her primary friends.
Honestly, I'm
beginning.
thinking I just recently saw season 3. I rewatched it
Okay.
all,
Yeah,
all
that's
3
fair.
episodes. That's why I'm thinking
I
of
want to
Hunter
do that.
too.
I want to rewatch it. No, I adore Hunter and his arc. But in the beginning, Hunter is not in the show until season 2.
Yeah, Hunter, I think it's like Azula in The Last Airbender, where I think you see her once in season 1, but she's not a character until season
Yeah,
2.
you see him, I think, twice in season 1, but he's fully masked and
Hmm.
you don't hear him talk or anything at all.
Or like move at all.
Yeah.
It looks like he could be a
So,
statue or something.
yeah.
But yeah, that is the
So
Owl House.
and the overarching plus, so the Owl House, I would say, it's a lot like Gravity Falls in that season 1 is very episodic, very,
Somewhat.
it's
I
episodic in the,
think.
like, there's a plot of the episode and then it moves on. There is
Hmm,
definitely an overarching plot, but
I think
it's not as
unlike
prominent.
Gravity Falls, I think there isn't a single episode of The Owl House that you shouldn't watch. Like
Oh,
every episode has at
100%.
least one thing that ties in over into the overarching plot.
Yeah.
Unlike Gravity Falls, where there's like some fun episodes that you could probably skip.
Yeah. The overarching plot is definitely there the whole time, but it is in the background in season 1.
Hmm.
And season 2 is where things really start to heat
Oh my
up, and
goodness.
don't even get me started on season 3. Oh my gosh. Okay. Um so the overarching plot is that I don't even know how to do it without
Do you want me to?
spoilers.
It's very.
Yeah, you do it.
Should we just get into spoilers?
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Okay,
Mm-hmm.
because it's very background for season 1. Like you
Mm-hmm.
barely recognize that there is a villain or a plot until it's thrown in your face in the
Mm-hmm.
finale, and it's like, hey, Emperor Bellos probably isn't a good person
Yeah.
if someone's trying to rule this world. And the first time you see him, it's just like, oh, something's not right with you. You're not
The
human,
sky.
or whatever the hell everyone else is. Like, you're not one of them. And then
Yeah.
it turns
I
out,
think their race is witch
yeah.
because they all call each other witches. They say there because there's an episode where King goes into it and he's like the three types of creatures on the
Yeah.
Boiling Isles. There's witches, and then there's demons, and then there's three subclasses of demons. And I
Yeah.
think that's it.
So I was very confused with the lore of this universe, and it wasn't the kind of confusing that was intriguing. It was the confusing that was like, I don't understand this
Oh.
until a moment in season 2. So yeah, there was a lot of confusion with the lore, but the moment that I understood it was when King was revealed to be a Titan, because I wasn't sure. There was a lot of demons who could use magic, and there was
Mm-hmm.
demons who were like humanistic, who could use magic, and there were some demons who couldn't use magic. And I was wondering the specifics of that, and I was like, why can't King use magic? And it's because
Mm-hmm.
he's not a demon. Most demons probably can. Like that, I don't know why
Yeah.
that specific thing was what clicked in my brain for a lot of this lore, but
Okay.
that's the moment that it worked for me.
Well, there was the episode that helped me. I mean, like I understood most of the lore and I understood that they were witches. So basically, the witches on the Boiling Isles are different from humans in the way they look like humans, but they have pointy ears like elves and they have a sack attached to their heart called the bile sac that holds all of their magic.
It's like, yeah, magic comes from the heart, from a tumor on the heart.
Yeah, yeah, from a bile sac attached to your heart, which is hilarious. It was so funny. And basically, Luz is a human. She doesn't have a bile sac,
No.
so she can't do intrinsic magic. She wants to become a witch. She wants to stay on the Boiling Isles and become a witch, so she has to figure out her own way to do magic, which she does eventually, which is so fun and interesting. But there's an episode in season 2 where King is trying to figure out his parentage. And Hootie is helping him by explaining the types of creatures who live on the Boiling Isles. And I think he said there are witches and there are demons, and within demons there's three subclasses. There's magic using demons, I forgot what they're called, and then there's like or I think they were like humanoid ones and they can use magic. And then there were ones like Hootie who are insects because Hootie is not an
Yeah.
owl. He's
No,
a
he's a
worm.
worm. I love the moment. This is
That
off
got
topic,
me.
but where they're just like, I know how to defeat the owl, the bird, the tube, that thing.
That thing, yeah. The worm tube thing. I love it. And Hootie is like almost like he's not all powerful. Like he doesn't have a bunch of powers, but he's almost undefeatable.
Yeah, if
Just
someone
because,
tries to defeat him, they are going to lose, no matter
yeah.
who it is. Like that's how it works.
And Hootie is also the most annoying character ever. And they spend like the first season and a half hating Hootie until Lilith is like, I'm gonna become best friends with Hootie, and it's the most
Hootstifer.
wholesome thing. Hootstifer and Lilith.
I
It's
lied
so
earlier.
good.
There is one person who can defeat him because he's dispatched of in the third season. And when he comes
Oh
back, he
yeah.
has the anime eyes as he looks back at Lilith.
And he's like,
Oh, I loved his dramatic self so much.
it's so good. Yeah, so the first season has a lot of mystery, especially around Ida the owl lady. And
And there's a
because
great episode where it's revealed that she has a curse that turns her into an owl.
yeah,
I think
that's
it's pretty
very
easy
early
to guess a
on.
lot of the reveals, but I did like that one.
Yeah. It's like it's really interesting this show because from the pilot, I like unlike Gravity Falls because I wasn't hooked from the pilot of Gravity Falls, but from the pilot I was hooked because the first thing that they do is Luz comes to the Boiling Isles, meets Ida and King and Hootie, and then Ida is arrested and taken to the conformatorium, which I love things that are on the nose. That was excellent. Like,
And it's
so I
trying to
was like,
stop wild magic
Yeah,
so that they
yeah.
can conform.
you have to conform to one of, what was it, 12
Yeah,
covens?
9 or 12 or something
Nine,
like that.
nine, I think it was 9. And you have to be, by decree of Emperor Belos, who's only been emperor for like 30 years or something.
Yeah.
It's like as long as the Empire in Star Wars. It's like not that long. Sorry, not as long as the Empire. The Empire is only 19 years old. As long as the New Republic before the First Order takes over. Whatever.
Yeah, you know more than me.
just I just know things and they stick in my brain and they can't leave, and then I forget important things like when I should do my taxes.
See, that's the same for me, but with random Batman villains' names. Like, I don't need to know Jervis Tetch's name. I don't need that.
I don't even
I
know who
do.
that is, but I know
That's the Mad
Calendar
Hatter.
Man's name. Oh.
Oh, I know Julian Day.
Yeah. Anyway, what was I talking about? Oh yeah, the conformatorium.
Yes.
So Ida doesn't want to conform to a coven. She wants to practice all types of magic. So she is on the run and she is arrested for that very reason. And taken to the conformatorium, and basically the whole first episode is very heavy with the theme of we shouldn't have to conform to what everyone wants. The weird kids should do weird stuff, and we should all be ourselves because we're all individual and cool. And is very, very kid-like, but it's a good message for kids.
Yeah.
And as the show goes on, like the first episode, it puts it out there very very heavily, but it goes on to really make good on that theme, as well as a bunch of other themes, but that theme is very important.
I
the
think
rest
one
of the show.
thing the Owl House does well is no matter how on the nose they are with the themes, they always drive them home really well. Just like
Yeah.
the whole theme of outsiders sticking together. They state that exact phrase multiple times, but it still works.
It's really good. And then, so Luz eventually goes to magic school and meets some other young witches
Yeah,
named...
a lot of season 1 was about her getting into school,
Getting into
which I
magic school.
liked.
Yeah, she doesn't immediately get in. She doesn't get there until like halfway through season 1. And she meets Willow, the nature coven witch, and she meets Gus, the illusionist witch, and she meets Amity, the
Oh,
abomination witch.
And the character development on all three is immediate, but most of all for Amity. Oh my goodness, the character development.
Amity starts out very Draco Malfoy, very enemy, very I don't like you. You're not good enough to be a witch. We are enemies.
And if you rewatch that first season with it in mind that Amity has feelings for Luz, I think a lot of it is very apparent as to why she's attacking Luz.
Totally is. That's why I cannot believe you didn't guess the ship. Because eventually Luz and Amity become a couple and fall in love, and it is glorious.
And it happens very quickly, too. Like, they set that up by the end of season 1. I'm pretty sure, I could be wrong, but they're just in a relationship. And for the rest of the show, they are in a solid relationship.
They are in a solid relationship once they get together, but I don't think it's season 1.
It might be season 2.
I think season 1, we find out about Amity's crush on Luz.
Mm-hmm.
But I don't think they get together till, like, near the beginning of season 2.
You might be right.
Yeah, the end of season... There's a bunch of instances where you're like... Okay, so I knew that there was a gay ship going into the show, so I was on the lookout. And I could tell from the beginning, as soon as they introduced this mean little girl with a pixie cut, I was like, obviously it's gonna be her. So I was like, we're doing enemies to lovers. I love it. And there are a bunch of moments where Luz like accidentally looks in on Amity, like when she's alone, or when Amity is like by herself and she's like contemplating things in her mind, and she's always thinking about Luz. And I was like, how do you not get that? That's gonna be that. It's gonna be them. And then at the end of season 1, there is a prom episode where, oh my god, so good. It's not really prom, it's Grom.
Yeah, it's Grom, and it's not fun at all, but...
It's not fun, it's about fighting a demon, but,
But they have some stellar, like, anime-level animation in this show, and
so good.
A lot of them are just devoted to Amity and Luz, not even... fighting, but just like interacting with each other or dancing. In the Grom episode, there's a moment where they kiss in season 3, and they poured their budget into the animation for that.
Go hard. It's so like, good. The animation is excellent. And like that's another thing, the animation in this show, like I was saying before with Gravity Falls, like this show even more so, it is constantly changing.
Yes,
things
there
do
is
not
no
stay
status
the
quo.
same in this show, and I love that. The first thing that, the first time it happened, I was surprised, and the first time that something changed within a character design in the show was, what I think it was the end of season 1, honestly, because like things would change briefly, but then they would go back. But
I think for me, it was when Amity dyed her hair.
Oh, that was in season 2, but I think in season 1, the big thing was the magic school outfits. Luz got a magic school outfit, and it changed multiple times in that episode, and then it stayed changed. And she
got the rainbow uniform.
Outfit. Yeah, excellent. Representing all covens because she wanted to study all of them. Then what's it called? And then at the end of season 1, where Ida and Lilith are fighting. So Lilith is Ida's sister, and Lilith cursed Ida with her owlbear curse as a child.
I gotta say, this fight, stellar animation. Probably the best animation in the entire show. Like this, Ida versus Lilith. Holy crap, I love this.
Also, I think also in the finale. The animation in the finale is stellar.
They just pop off.
Yeah.
I guess
honestly,
every finale has great animation.
Yeah.
Every finale.
I agree, honestly.
Which, season 3, all 3 episodes, they count as finales to me.
Yeah. They are. No, the season 3 is one long finale. It's because they got canceled, and it was basically a movie split up into 3 episodes. So
And knowing that they got canceled and that's the story, I'm so glad that they got to finish their story off right.
yeah,
Even though I still wish we got a full season 3. I
yeah.
wish that happened.
They found out in the middle of season 2. So I think I might be wrong, but off the top of my head, I think it's the episode after Luz promises her mother that she's gonna come back to the real world. I think it's the episode after that where she and Amity are already together, and Amity and Willow are trying to be friends again. I think that might be the episode. I think that's the first episode where they knew that season 3 would only have 3 episodes and it would be their last season.
That actually makes a lot of sense because I remember there being a very long break, and that's where I kind of dropped off of watching it weekly because I was watching the show weekly as it was coming out.
Oh wow.
But that reminds me of a lot, and this is the last time I will mention Gravity Falls.
No, it's
But
fine.
the journey of that was and it wasn't solely Alex Hirsch who was behind this, but I just remember him talking about it in an interview. But he originally had 3 seasons planned for Gravity Falls, and then a lot of fans guessed the twist. So he said, he just decided, you know what, I'm going to condense it all into 1 season so that I can finish the story right. And I think that was clearly the right decision, whereas Owl House, I feel like, was affected entirely different from cancellation from outside sources.
Yeah.
And I feel like it's another
Wasn't a
thing
creative
of
choice.
yeah, exactly. I feel like they were forced to make this decision rather than, oh, let me actually make this story better
Yeah.
in an interpretation.
They had completely different plan for the creator, or is that what he was called?
What is it?
The collector.
Yeah.
They had a totally different plan for the collector. He was going to be in season 3, but they were going to be different. It was going to be a different story.
It's wrapped up pretty neatly by the end,
Yeah.
but it's clear that that's not the story they were going to tell initially.
Yeah, but it works. It
It definitely works.
And they did an amazing job finishing it out. But yeah, at the end of season 1, the thing that showed me that the show is committed to change and committed to progressing was at the end of season 1, Ida and Lilith fight, and then Lilith gives up and is like, you know what, I'm wrong, I cursed you, I deserve to be cursed. And so she takes half of the curse onto herself, and both of their eyes change. Ida's eyes go from both being yellow to one being yellow, or both being gray to one being yellow and one being gray, and then Lilith's eyes goes from both being green or blue, I think, to
Something
one
like
being
that,
blue
yeah.
and one being gray. And I was like, oh, we're changing character designs here. Okay. And then season 2, constantly changing. Amity's hair changes. Willow's hair changes. Gus gets taller.
Gus goes through puberty. I think season 2 starts out right from the get-go. Lilith is living in the Owl House with them. Like, new status quo.
Lilith's costume design changes multiple times, and her hair changes, and it changes color. And
I
Amity's
love
hair changes
that
color.
whole thing with Lilith's hair where she clearly straightens it and dyes it, but as she slowly starts to care less about the influence of Emperor Belos, then she just lets her hair be curly and orange like it used to be.
Oh, it's so good. And Luz's hair, especially towards the end of season 2, where they're on the run, and then into season 3, her hair gets like longer. It shows the passage of time. Her hair is always in this short cut, and then those times it gets longer. Her clothes change. She gets a new character design
really
in
long
season
hair
3.
in season 3. Holy crap. She doesn't get to keep it, but it's cool looking.
But it is cool. I know it's all cool, and it's sick.
When
And
does
I
Luz
love
get
that.
the scar? I've completely forgot about that.
So Luz gets the scar at the end of season 2. I don't know if it was the last episode or the second to last episode, but I'm pretty sure it was in a fight with Belos.
Okay. That makes sense.
But it might
I love
have been,
the scar, though. It looks badass.
I love it. It's sick. But it might have been at the end when she's flying through the door when King lets her go. It might be that. I don't know. But it stays. She gets a scar and it stays on her face. Like, that's crazy.
And it's clearly, they have a thing in season 3 where they're like watching this anime movie and Luz looks like the villain. Like, I love
Yeah.
that, but I just love like the badass look of the scar. But
Yeah.
so I want to talk about some of the characters in the Owl House because there's no true villain. I think Emperor Belos is one just stuck up little boy. That's all he is to me. But
Really?
he gets some character development. Development, I say hesitantly because they kind of explain where he's coming from and that's it. But there's
Well,
no
he
true villain in this show.
I disagree. I think Belos is a villain.
I mean, yeah, he's
I
a very clear antagonist in the
Yeah,
narrative.
I think the one who is thought to be a villain and not actually a villain would be the collector at the
Yes.
end, because the collector is, after all, just a child who doesn't understand life and death and doesn't understand morality. And so how can he possibly know that he's hurting people if he doesn't understand what hurt is? So he
And
doesn't understand that everything is not his toy to play with.
yeah, if you get everything you want, you're gonna be a terrible person.
Yeah,
and
if
just
you're an all-powerful child who was kicked out by your family, like,
oh my god,
you don't understand mortality and morality.
there's a lot of lore that I want to get into with the collector, but the way, I mean, he's introduced as in shadow a lot of the time, but when he gets
Because
freed,
they were imprisoned
yeah,
in
what
that thing
the
by
sheer
King's father.
just, oh my goodness, the sheer
King's
power
father and
that he
mother.
has. Oh yeah, I am king and queen's best of both things.
I am king and queen, best of both things. That was
But yeah,
so good.
the collector just splats Emperor Belos against a wall, and then he takes a moon and just kind of moves it to the side.
Yeah.
And that's the moment where I'm like, okay, I knew you were powerful,
whoa.
but holy shit, dude.
Yeah, that was intense.
Yeah. I remember
but
my jaws being
Bellows-
dropped at that scene.
Yeah. Because of in the finale episode, Luce and Ida and King are trying to teach the collector, like, death is a real thing, and that you need to forgive people. Forgiveness and
use kindness.
Kindness is how to go about your life. And so the collector goes up to Belos, who has taken over the body of the Titan. That is the island that they live
Yeah.
on.
Badass.
And
Love
goes,
that.
and goes, I forgive you. And then he hits him away. And it's just like, and Luz is like, that doesn't always work. And I'm like, that is so real. Because you
Yep.
can't just preach to live your entire life in forgiveness and kindness and let people walk all over you, because that will happen. People have dark and twisted ideas, and some people do not deserve your kindness. And that is who Belos is.
Yeah, in that moment where the collector was just like, hey, you just explained it to me. I thought I was doing a good thing. And Lou is just like, hey, you did the exact perfect thing. I love what you're doing, but
was
this
just-
is more complicated.
It was more complicated, and this is not the right person.
Yeah.
He doesn't deserve that.
But I
He
just
is-
love that the sentiment of, no, you did the right thing. You're
Yeah.
just not to the right person.
Yeah. And that is so important for children to learn, because so many children's media is like, you have to always be kind and always forgive and always say please and thank you and do this thing. Sometimes people are horrible. And you know what? Children know that. Children
Yeah.
go through things, okay? Lots of bad things happen to children all the time. And
Some
it's
people are just
awful.
rotten to the core, like
Some people
Emperor Belos.
Some people don't deserve your forgiveness.
No.
And okay, since we're talking about how terrible Belos is, we need to talk about Hunter.
Yes. Holy crap.
So, do you want to talk about Hunter, or do you want me to?
I have a very small grasp on what Hunter even is, because I'm
Okay.
guessing he's a clone of Emperor Belos's older brother from back
So-
in like the 1600s, and
Yeah.
he's made a bunch of those clones, and they've all failed. Am I getting this right?
That's exactly right. So what it is that the way that Bellows came to this world, he is human, and he was a witch hunter back in like the
Mm-hmm.
1600s, and his brother fell in love with somebody named Caleb. His brother was named Caleb, and he
Mm-hmm.
fell in love with somebody from the Boiling Isles and
Named
went to go
Evelyn.
live there. Yeah, named Evelyn, and went to go live there. And Bellows followed him, or his name was Philip, but he followed
Yes.
him, and he was so disgusted by the world and by magic, and his brother refused to come back with him, so he killed his brother. And then once he started to discover runes and how to do magic and how to create different things, I forget exactly what it's called. Ooh, my
The
AirPods are
the
dying.
glyphs.
No, not the glyphs. What Hunter is. I forget
Oh,
exactly.
Grimwalker.
Grimwalker, thank you.
Mm-hmm.
So Hunter is a Grimwalker, which is after Bellows killed his brother Caleb, he created a Grimwalker, a clone of him, and he raised him from a child, and apparently every time this Grimwalker betrays Bellows because he finds out that Bellows is evil and he betrays him, and he chooses magic. He chooses to fight for what is right. And every single time, Bellows kills the Grimwalker.
Like dozens, if not 100 times.
Hundreds. He's been alive for thousands of years. So Hunter goes into. There's an episode where Hunter and Luz go into Bellows' mind, and it's a crazy episode. It's so good.
Mm.
And Hunter he's a kid who is. It's a really good example of a kid who's someone who grew up learning all of the wrong lessons
And they're so
from.
indoctrinated into that
Mhm.
propaganda.
Exactly. He's so indoctrinated into this life. It's the only thing he's ever known. He is abused his whole life. He
Right.
grows up being in this army, being in the Emperor's Coven, which is an army, and he is forced to um always work, never have a day off, study magic even though he can't do magic because he is
Mm-hmm.
a Grimwalker of a human. So he can't do magic like other witches can.
He even has this just side comment joke where he talks about going down a mountain all in like one night, and he's being attacked by monsters, and then
Yeah.
Steve, one of the coven, or not, one of the just scouts, is just like, hey man, that was terrible, by the way, love Steve,
Yeah.
what a great guy.
No, Steve was great. But it was one it was the episode where he was trying to recruit Willow and Gus and a bunch of other people to be in the Emperor's Coven with him, and they go, "How could you just betray us like this and capture us?" And they were like, "We thought you were our friend," and he was like, friends betray each other all the time. That's what
Yeah.
happens in the Emperor's Coven. Everyone hates each other. Isn't that
Yeah.
what Friends is? And it's like, it's so sad. His life is so sad.
And he genuinely believes it too, like
And
it sucks.
he genuinely believes it. And he genuinely believes that it's a privilege to get to sleep in until 6:45. And I was like, bro.
But he gets a lot of character development, specifically with Blackjack. What is his
Blackjack.
name? Is it Blackjack?
I think, no.
It's something like that.
It's his little
Yeah.
bird. Oh, what's it called? What are they called?
A Palisman.
Palisman. Thank you. I was gonna say talisman. Palisman.
God, his name isn't
And
Blackjack.
do you
want
want
to
to know
something
something
like that.
crazy that I found out online after?
What?
That Palisman was Evelyn's Palisman. Caleb's love.
Okay.
And that's why it was lost
Okay.
with the Bat Queen.
Okay. So I have a note here that what I didn't think was that important, but because I thought it was just Emperor Bellows like projecting onto Luz, or maybe even the Palisman, because it's a moment where Emperor Bellows in season 3, episode 1, is looking at Luz, or maybe he's even looking at the Palisman, and he says, "Goodbye, Evelyn."
Yeah.
What does
I
that
think
mean?
I think it's the Palisman because he says goodbye, Evelyn, because that's Evelyn's Palisman, and he kills it. He kills.
And
he
that
squishes
did
it and
break
eats
my
it. It was
freaking heart.
awful. And then when, oh my gosh, when he was holding, when Hunter was holding the Palisman as it
Mm,
died, what's his name? Not Blackjack. It's not Blackjack. I don't know what
it's
it is.
something like blackjack.
I know. Can you look it up? I can't. My
I'm looking it
computer's
up.
like. But he's holding it and watching it die, and the Palisman is like not it doesn't blame Hunter at all. He is like, I love you, and he goes into Hunter and he gives Hunter his magic. So Hunter is able to do the he basically is like the Flash. He has super speed.
Yeah. Yeah,
When
he's
he
got
wants
like
to.
a boost ability
Yeah,
in Mario
he's like a
Kart.
fast elf. Yeah.
But the name's Flapjack, by the way.
Flapjack, that's what it is.
But yeah,
Oh,
Flapjack dying made me cry.
it was
And there's many moments in season 3 where I cried. Just
hundreds.
full on.
And it's only 3 episodes.
Yeah.
But when Hunter, the way that Hunter deals with his death, with Flapjack, I forgot again.
We already forgot it.
With Flapjack's death, was so interesting,
And he just like he's shaking off the Emperor's influence in his body, and he's just
yeah.
like arguing
And
with him
he's
the entire time.
so traumatized and scarred.
And he never really recovers, even as the show
I mean-
ends. Like he's still clearly hurt about
I
it.
mean, how do you recover from your whole life? Like, you
Yeah.
can't. That's a part of him, and that's so valuable to portray as like this is a kid who he lives with trauma. So do all of them, by the way.
Yeah,
They're all
every
living
single
with
one of them.
trauma. Amity,
Especially now that
oh
in
boy.
season 3 they're in the Earth world away from their families. Like Luz
Yeah.
gets to be back with her mom. I want to
But-
talk about Camilla because holy crap.
Slay Camilla. I love her. But Luz is so depressed in season 3, and
She just blames herself for everything.
yeah, and Amity's family situation is oh boy, and
We haven't talked about V at all, but I figured fake Luz would be a bit more of a plot point, but she was fun. I liked her character.
I don't know if this is true, but I think it was because of the cancellation that they wrapped it up so
I'm
quickly.
almost
But
certain.
that was so scary the first time that I saw that.
Yeah.
And when I saw Camilla reading letters that were sent to her from Luz, but we know that Luz hasn't been sending her letters. And I was
Yeah.
like, what? But
What is
it was
going
the
on?
time. It was the time when you see Camilla talking to someone, and they come out of
And
the
her
shadows,
face
and
is in
it's
shadow.
Luz, and I'm like, oh my god! I was literally
Who the
scared.
fuck are you?
I watched that at night. I do remember that, and I almost screamed. I was like, what is happening right now?
But yeah, I don't know if we'll even mention it again, but I did like that mystery element, and I'm positive it was going to be something
Yeah.
more. But
But
I
it
did
ended up
like V's
being-
character.
It ended up being V. They're super cool, and they're also very traumatized and sad. They were grown up in a lab, and they weren't impersonating Luz for malicious reasons. Just they wanted a home, and they got one because they get to live with Luz and Camilla, and that was cool.
I don't know why this also just came to mind, but V's friend Basha or Masha, great. They wanted to use every name but yours because Basha is another one of the villains
Basha is
or
a
like
character.
the bullies.
Yeah. Basha's the three-eyed cheerleader. Not cheerleader,
Yeah.
the three-eyed
Grudge B player.
Grudge B, that's it, thank you. I was like, what is it? It's making fun of Quidditch. That's what it is, but I don't remember what
No,
it's
that
called.
one's like they have another game where it's making fun of Quidditch. They have multiple games, although
Yeah, but when they introduce Grudge B, they're just like it's a magic game. Why would the only thing we do is bring balls back and forth
yeah,
across
yeah, yeah. And I did like the joke in whatever episode season 1 where they're playing that Grudge Me match and they're fighting as hard as they can, and then someone on the other team finds this gold thing floating
Yeah.
around. They're like, "Oh, we win!" It's like, "Oh yeah, you didn't know that? If you find this thing, you immediately win."
Yeah, you immediately win and get 10,000 points.
Yeah.
And then
That
they're
was
like, that's
fun.
so stupid.
It just nullifies everything we did beforehand.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Wow. It's almost like
I
this social commentary or something.
So I can't think of any good transition into talking about Camilla, but I really want to talk about
Do
her.
it.
Mainly the dream sequence where we see her in context of what we've already seen in this show, but it's her POV. It just had no right being as good as it was. I mean, just maturity wise.
Yeah. No, and um it was so insightful into Camilla as a character because you're sitting there and you're like, all we really know about her is the first episode where she wants to send Luce to a think inside the box summer camp that is worryingly like conversion therapy camp. And those parallels are not subtle at all. And it really gives you some context into her character, and you're like, oh, this makes sense, like why she would think this.
And the fact that she is a literal closet nerd.
Yes. Yes. Oh my god, I've seen some videos, so I'm trying to be careful not to like exactly copy what I've heard other people say, but I've seen a lot of analysis videos on Camilla and on Hunter, which are they're and also Amity and Luce, obviously. But
Obviously.
but Camilla's psychological process, like it makes a lot of sense, and then all of that stuff about Luce's dad dying and the Azura books being her like only connection to
That hit
him,
me
and then
hard.
that's what led her to the Boiling Isles in the first place, because Ida took her book, and that was just, oh my god. It was, I cried a lot during these 3 episodes in season 3.
Yeah.
It was like, it was really good.
Now that we're on to season 3, I do want to talk about Luz's Palisman, but also just crying moments
Yes.
is when the Palisman came out and Luz was just like, I just want to be understood.
Oh my
I had that like
god.
single tear shed, but full
Yeah.
on bawling was the ending of the show,
So,
like that montage.
oh my god, we'll get
We'll,
there
we'll
in a
get
second.
there.
So season 3 starts with a montage as well.
The
It
intro.
starts the intro to oh gosh, they changed the intro song, and at first you're like, "Oh my gosh, what are they going to do? What are they doing to this?" And I just found something really weird on my floor, sorry. It's like an eyeball. It was super weird. So they change the intro, but then it starts going on and on and on and on. And it is, you realize it is this whole montage of what they would have done with the first half of season 3 if they were not cut short. And that, I was like, oh my
There's a lot of
god. There was
montages that
so,
happen in season 3, and you can
yeah.
tell that
But
they were
they're,
like supposed to be an entire episode.
right. But nevertheless, like they got the point across. They did everything really well. All of the emotion and all the journeys that the characters were going on while they, especially while all the witches were stuck. So all of the children witches are stuck in the
Oh,
mortal
yeah, on
realm
Earth.
with on Earth with Camilla, Luce's mom, and everyone else is has been captured by the Collector back in the Boiling Isles. So it is very tense. Luce is very depressed. But even so, like her and Amity's relationship grows, and Luce comes out to her mom in this montage, and Hunter and Gus become better friends. And
They bond
okay,
over a Star
look,
Trek
they
parody.
bond over a Star Trek ripoff that Camilla is obsessed with, and honestly, like I know I'm not mad at it. There are a lot of people that don't like it for some reason. That Hunter and Willow were paired together
I
at
thought
the
it was
end.
cute, but
I thought it was cute, but honestly, what I saw coming was Hunter and Gus. I was like, they kind of got some chemistry, but also I understand why not, because Gus is canonically like 2 years younger than the rest of them, and Hunter's canonically like a year older than the rest of them. So that's like
In a decade, that's fine,
that's like a four,
but not right
right?
now.
Not as kids. That's weird.
Yeah. But back to the intro,
Um,
because I got to talk about
yeah.
it, because Disney Plus gave me the option to skip it. And I was just like, what the hell?
Those bastards. Oh my god, that should be a crime.
And it was like,
That's
the
ridiculous.
Lumity Presents screen was coming on, and it was like, do you want to skip this? And I was like, I think the fuck not.
And it said, yeah, the fact that they called it Lumity.
Yeah. And it was
Oh
Luz
my
it was
God.
Luz coming out to her mom as bi, like in that montage.
Yeah.
Everything was perfect. Oh, it was amazing.
And it was so sweet. So blah blah blah, they defeat Belos, the collector becomes good. King slays, and he gets his power as a Titan, but also Luce at the end dies. She dies. She comes back,
but she dies for a sec.
And they make a point with that. That's how they teach the collector what death is. And it was tragic. Even though I knew that Luce was going to come
And Luz
back.
gets some awesome
But-
powers from King's father, who has like a hootie thing in his eye. I don't know what that is. But
Yeah.
I
don't know what that was either. That was super interesting. But Luz's Titan form
Oh my
was
god.
absolutely incredible. It was a sleigh. It was so cool. She looked super hot. She was a
Yeah.
kid. She's a kid, but like she still looked super hot, and she was awesome. Like,
When she comes down and she starts like
Damn.
waving these different colored glyphs around,
Yeah.
anime. It's just super awesome anime moments, and they had a bunch of them.
I want to be clear. When I say hot, I mean cool, as in the Paris Hilton hot. Like, that's hot. Not like sexy, because she's a child.
Yeah, she is canonically what, 16 or 17?
No, she was I think during the show 14, because at the end they have a quinceañera for Luz, and they say you spent your 15 cleaning up the boiling aisles, and your 16th and your 17th, so we're giving you a quinces for your 18th.
Yeah, I thought
she is-
that
yeah.
they were making a point of it, that she like stayed there prolonged for a couple years, but I could have been reading that wrong.
No, in like the first two
Or
seasons.
yeah, just over the course of the entire show.
Okay, no. So the course of the entire show, I think, is supposed to be, not including season 3, I think the first 2 seasons is supposed to be like summer and then half of a year of school.
Okay.
Something like that. Because she's there for the whole summer, and then she realizes, oh, my mom's probably worrying about me. I should maybe go back home. But Belos destroys the portal, so they don't have a portal anymore. So
I thought a lot
she's
more
trying to find a
time had
portal.
passed in season 2, but I probably read that way
Yeah.
wrong.
I mean, I think a little bit of time definitely passed while they were on the run, because like we saw her, like her hair is getting longer and costumes were changing, and by the time she gets back to the mortal realm with Camilla and V have like settled into a routine, you can tell. So yeah, I think it's definitely a little bit of time, but it's not years, because they what they mean at the end, like you spent your 15 cleaning up the boiling aisles, like after all the Belos and the collector
Right.
stuff.
But yeah, Belos becomes the ultimate villain in season 3, which I love, him infecting the Titan. And that just final battle. It was awesome.
It was animated so well, and the fact that like we had all these other characters that we love, of course, but the fact that they brought the final fight back to the original 3, the Owl House, Luz, Ida, and King, and it was great.
Yeah.
I loved it.
And the ending with like a fake out of Luz almost going to college, but it's in the boiling aisles.
Yeah, she's going to college in the boiling aisles. I was like, no way she's going to college without Amity.
Yeah.
I will riot in the streets.
And like maybe it's been a long time. No, the last time she saw him was like a week ago.
Yeah, there's just like, I just had to go to graduation. But she did canonically go back and finish school in the mortal realm.
Yes.
She didn't do witch school. She didn't finish witch school, that's a bold
Hmm.
move, especially since most of the series is about her going to witch school. But I liked it because she went back, she finished mortal school, and then she's going to college at uh Ida's new wild magic college where she
Oh
is the
my god.
headmaster, and it's
Like, I
amazing.
was already
Oh my
crying at
god.
this moment because everyone had a cool new glow up. And then,
Yeah, everyone looks
yeah,
awesome.
Ida comes out as the headmaster, and I just started bawling. And
Yeah.
after that, character after character was shown. Bump, the principal, or previous principal, was shown
Yes,
gardening.
Bump is hilarious.
Yeah, we haven't talked about him, but he is great.
You know who we also haven't talked about?
Oh
Rain.
my
I can't
goodness.
believe we
How
haven't
have we
talked
not
about them.
mentioned
I
Rain?
love them. They're so awesome.
They're great.
So Rain is Ida's childhood love, or like teenage
Mhm.
love. Um who uh they were separate. They became the head of, what was
Bard
it?
magic.
Not a Bard
Mm.
magic. Thank you. It wasn't. I was thinking illusion for some reason. No, they became the head of the Bard magic coven, and this caused Ida to believe that they were on the side of Bellows, but they were not. They were
Mm.
working against Bellows the whole
And for a
time,
brief period, you
and
think that Rain is being, like, corrupted.
being mind
But
controlled
every
and
time
like,
Rain goes to
yeah.
drink whatever mind control thing is, they blow on it and the magic goes.
Yeah,
It's such a cool touch.
they're so smart. And I love Rain, and they're really awesome. There's a whole episode that's a flashback about them and Ida meeting as kids, and it's just, ugh, it what a love story, honestly. Like, it was so good. And then by the end, I'm pretty sure Rain has moved into the
I'd
owl
hope
house
so.
with Ida.
Oh,
Yeah.
there's that moment where they're, like, cuddling in Ida's nest. That was great.
Yeah. Oh my gosh. So yeah, yeah. Ida has a nest. She doesn't have like a bed because she's an owl
It's just
bear.
sticks and I don't know what else.
Honestly, in season 1, the first time she transformed, I was like, "Oh my god, are we doing D&D? Is she an owl bear? This is awesome."
It just pretty much is just a massive
Yeah.
owl. But yeah, that the ending montage or whatever you want to call it, where they're just flying through the city.
Yeah,
God,
it shows
perfect.
everyone, and then yeah, King is getting stronger with his powers, and the collector is, gone, but still a friend, and came and gave Luz some stars for her birthday. I love
And
it.
they gathered everyone together just so they could say bye. Loved it.
Yeah. Oh my god. And I've been looking at a bunch of stuff about like different fan theories and different things. What could this have meant? What could this have meant? But the creators have been like confirming some things, but they've also been saying, I don't want to I don't want to say yes or no to any of these few things because we always have the hope that we can do more in the future. So I don't know. I really hope the Owl House comes back because I will be the number one fan. I will buy a Lumity t-shirt and I will be watching every week if it comes
Or
back.
maybe even 3 seasons in a movie.
3 seasons in a movie.
Let's start it.
Yes.
Our 10 followers of Just Cuz. 3 seasons in a movie.
Yes. Get it. Get it. If you get it trending, we'll give you $1,000.
I don't know how we'll pull it together, but we'll do it. A
Yeah.
thousand dollars is a lot to us. I don't know if that.
It tells you where we are, honestly. Hey, hey, no. We're both adults. We just had our birthdays. We have very close
Yeah,
birthdays. So we are both 23 now.
we got
So
rent to pay.
we're we're real adults now.
But I guess I should move on to the shout outs because we can't really spend too much time on them because this episode is already
Yeah, yeah,
long
yeah.
enough. I mean, I have one that I'll probably save for the consumption corner, but I want to talk about briefly Over the Garden Wall, which is by the same
Oh yeah.
creator as Adventure Time. Have you seen it?
I haven't seen it, but I've heard of it,
So
100%.
I'm definitely going to mention this again because we've talked about episodes in the October Halloween mood. And I watch this
Yes.
show, I rewatch it every October. It's about
Mm-hmm.
10 episodes. You could binge it in a day. And it's a show. I'm not going to spoil too much, but it is really allowed to be scary. Like, it is truly
Mm.
terrifying at parts. But
I love
every
that.
episode has the twist that not everything is what it seems. Some things are fun, some
Okay.
things are actually scary. Christopher Lloyd plays a character who is genuinely allowed to be terrifying. It's great.
Hmm. That's fun.
I guess before I move on, do you have
Uh,
any shout outs?
um, I'm trying to think of ones that are kids shows. I don't watch that many uh animated kids shows. So come back to me. I'm gonna churn my brain.
So another one I've watched all the way through is Steven Universe.
Yeah, of course.
Everyone talks about how good it is, and it's one that I was just like, yeah, it can't be as good as everyone says, and it is. It
Hmm.
is as good as everyone says.
Yeah, that's another one that I have not watched yet. I will watch it eventually, I'm sure. I've watched some episodes of Adventure Time. I just haven't seen all of them. Um,
That's not really a shout out, but that's just like one of the OGs. Adventure
oh
Time,
yeah.
like recently I've gone through and rewatched it all from beginning to end, and it's
Sorry,
fantastic.
Were you talking about Steven Universe and I just said Adventure Time?
Yeah.
I'm
Oh
so
no, you're
sorry.
good.
I'm
I thought we were talking about two separate things, but
Let's talk about two separate
yeah.
things. They're very much two separate things. People have been telling me to watch Steven Universe forever.
Mm,
It's another one that walked so Owl House could run. I definitely
yes.
know that. Um,
Yeah.
and I know a lot of things that happen in it. I just haven't seen it.
There is a
I
movie
don't
for Steven Universe, and every time I watch it, it makes me cry. Unfortunately, you can't
really.
really watch the movie without spoiling the show, or at least like
Mm,
crucial elements in the first couple seasons of the show.
yeah.
But
Yeah, that makes sense. That happens a lot
yeah, all of it is
with
well worth a
anything.
watch.
Okay, cool. Now talk about the one I know that you've been waiting to talk about.
My
Do it.
Adventures with Superman.
Yes.
So, I really enjoyed this show. Week to week, I watched it, and it was really, really fun. I love watching a Superman that's clearly inspired by anime, and it's the real comic book Superman who's always, no matter what he's doing, trying to do good, and he is doing that good with every breath that he takes. He is doing good, and I love to see that. But
Hmm.
the one thing that really surprised me was the finale, because there was a two-part really fun event before the finale where Superman fought a bunch of his villains, and it was fun, but it was no finale thing, and I was expecting just another fun episode. But I'm not going to spoil it, but the finale really, really blew me away. That's all I'll say.
Yeah. I've heard from so many people that my adventures with Superman are really good and I need to watch it. We all know how I feel about Superman. So I
I think it might
maybe
convince you
this
otherwise.
maybe this will help me. Maybe this will help me. I desperately want to like Superman. That's my problem. So I will watch this at some point.
Yeah, it's all out
No
there. You
promises
can just
for
binge it.
anytime soon, but I will watch it. I promise that. Yeah. I think unless you have anything else to say about that, I think we should move on to our consumption corner.
Yes. I mean, shout out Avatar The Last Airbender. Last OG.
Yeah, that doesn't count. Everybody knows about that
On to the
one.
consumption corner where we're just starved for content.
Starve. No, no, no.
So, Sasha, what have you been consuming lately?
I just watched the brand new movie Bottoms. Oh my god, go see this movie. It's so goddamn funny.
How did you see it? Is it in a theater near you?
Yes, is it not near
No.
you? Oh no! Yeah, that sucks. Drive the 2 hours, go see it. It's
I
worth
just
it.
might.
It's
I've heard so
so
many good things.
funny. It is my favorite type of comedy. I won't spoil it for you because you haven't seen it yet, and you absolutely should. But it is the best type of comedy where it is realistic situations and realistic. I mean, not realistic situations, but it is understandable situations and understandable comedy in an absurdist world. Everything in the world is absurd. It is hilarious. I love it so much, and I genuinely think the new 2023 edition Girls Sleepover is now going to be comprised of the movies Do Revenge, Barbie, and Bottoms. Those are the movies you watch at Girls Sleepovers now. That's it.
Yes.
Okay.
And it's going to create
Also,
a better
the OGs,
generation.
Yes, the OGs, of course, like Mean Girls and Clueless, but come on, these are, we're eating so well, okay? It's so good.
Oh my goodness. There's a couple shows that I've been watching week to week that I want to talk about. The first of which is Fionna and Cake. It's an Adventure Time spin-off. And I figured it would be kid-friendly, but there is blood and swearing in it. Not too much. It's very light, but it's there. And I'm not going to spoil too much, but I didn't think it would be so connected to Adventure Time lore. And immediately, it's memorable characters.
Okay.
That's all I'll say about it. And it's coming out week to week. It's fun. Do you got anything?
Okay.
Anything else?
Let me think. I was just watching something, and it was really good too.
I hope it was Ahsoka.
It was Ahsoka.
Yes.
No, I haven't. It was Ahsoka, but not the newest episode. I haven't seen the newest episode yet.
We can't.
I know. I'm sorry. Don't say anything. I need to watch it.
All I will say
told you.
Is
Don't say anything.
episode 5, the episode that's coming out next week, is going to be nuts, and it's directed by Dave Filoni. That's all I'm going to say, but we will talk about it because we have to.
Yes, we will. I told you how busy I was. I barely had time to finish Gravity Falls. I really want to watch Ahsoka. I have to do it. It's happening. I'm about to start my Percy Jackson reread because the show is coming out soon in December.
So excited.
And earlier than that, the 6th Percy Jackson and the Olympian book is coming out at the end of next month. Or at the end of this month. So, everyone do your Percy Jackson homework. Do your rereads. It's worth
Percy
it.
Jackson
it's a great
fans
series.
have never had it better.
This is the best year to be a Percy Jackson fan. Or I guess the best portion of the year.
And I say that...
No, because The Sun and the Star came out this year also. So this is the best year to be a Percy Jackson fan.
Absolutely. And I say that as someone who is always a Percy Jackson fan. I read it before Harry Potter. Even though I still love Harry Potter, but if I had to compare...
I read Harry Potter first. They were the first books that I read, but Percy Jackson quickly toppled them. And since things that have come out about the creators of certain book series and worlds, Percy Jackson has taken the cake every single time.
Yeah, Rick Riordan, just
not
a
even
good guy.
Good guy, not even a competition, just a genuinely good dude. And his wife is cool too. Absolutely. And he, he has the Rick Riordan Presents, which is a I don't know if it's a publishing company, but it's a platform for him to platform other writers and artists who are making books about different kinds of mythology and different kinds of stories that he does not have access to, or that he doesn't have firsthand knowledge of, because he understands that we need to raise up voices of people who have different experiences than us.
I didn't know that. That is
good job,
awesome.
Rick Riordan.
If you have anything else, I got just one more thing that I've been consuming.
You go for it. That will be our last thing.
So I have finally finished the comic Batman 1989, which is a continuation of Tim Burton's Batman starring Michael Keaton. It's just the original Batman and Batman Returns, and it ignores all the Joel Schumacher stuff. It's a 5-issue comic, and it's great. It introduces a new Robin. It has Billy D. Williams as Two-Face and his whole...
Sick. I love Billy D. Williams. Wait, it doesn't have any relation to George Orwell's 1989, does it?
No. Just Batman coming out in 1989.
That makes sense, because you said Batman 1989. I was like, oh, is Batman going to take on a fascist dictatorship?
Honestly, that would be awesome. I would love to see that.
That would be great.
And I'm gonna probably move on to Superman 77 or 74, whenever that came out, which is a continuation of those movies.
Well, honestly, now that I think about it, let's be honest. Batman is a billionaire capitalist. He would be benefiting from a fascist dictatorship. I'm sorry, but I said it. He would be benefiting.
He would look at it and be like, I can fix it, but
I'm gonna go punch people instead.
because it helps me.
Anyway, enough with the Batman slander. We do it too often on here.
We all love Batman. Everyone loves Batman.
We do. I love Batman.
We love that Mary Sue.
Absolutely, that's what he is. All right. Animation is good. Kids, watch it. Disney, stop canceling.
Yes. And with that, this has been an animation smorgasbord.